Look, I wasn't supposed to get faster this quickly. Look, after gaining weight, starting over, and struggling for months, this is kind of shocking to me. A few weeks ago, I started rebuilding my aerobic base using low heart rate training. Look, nothing fancy, just slow running, but something kind of wild is happening and has happened. My pace has dropped. My heart rate is stabilized. My body started responding like it remembered who I used to be. So today I'm going to be sharing what the 10% rule is for low heart rate training, the simple principle that explains why my improvement may be happening so fast, and how you can use it to get your fitness back no matter how old you are, how heavy you are, or how many times you've tried starting over. Running isn't easy, but let me explain. The 10% rule for low heart rate training, nobody explains this clearly. The 10% weekly mileage rule, increase weekly distance by like less than 10%, is common running advice. It's often criticized as arbitrary and not evidence-based for every runner. It's about volume, not heart rate. 10 beats a minute is a lot when you're training by heart rate. So if you're using the Maffetone method, it basically uses 180 minus your age to set a maximum aerobic heart rate. Commonly recommends ranges or modifications in beats per minute, like 5 up, 10 down, for certain conditions like illness, medication, veteran athletes. And that's beats, not percentage. Many MAF guides and practitioners talk about a 10 beat window. And I know Dr. Phil Maffetone talks about that as well. And that's the second thing that people kind of get confusing. Heart rate drift percentages, or beats per minute, changes during a run. Cardiac drift is the normal upward creep of heart rate during long, steady exercise. Is often 5 to 10 beats per minute. And it's not a standardized 10% rule. It's a physiological effect. It's dehydration, low stroke volume, hormones. It's expected on longer runs, because when you get tired, things happen. And this is what the evidence says. There's no standardized 10% heart rate threshold. I couldn't find credible, physiological study or any major coach that prescribes don't let heart rate change by more than, greater than 10% as a universal rule for low heart rate training. Instead, I think most coaches focus on absolute beats per minute window. And with the Maffetone method, it's trends over weeks and months. Cardiac drift is normal. And the magnitude can vary based from athlete to athlete. The magnitude varies. Trained athletes tend to show less drift of, let's say 5 or 10 beats during a long, easy run, and it's common. And that means your watch or your heart rate can slowly rise even if the effort pace stays consistent. Interpreting that rise matters more than the arbitrary percentage threshold. There's a 10% weekly progression is a separate, and it's also a debatable rule. It's useful as a simple safety guardrail for mileage, but many coaches argue that it's oversimplified and it's not the best guide for load management versus load metrics. Training stress and session intensity. Coros can track those, and it can help with that. I think Garmin has that as well. So look, there's a little bit of takeaway in this, and this is what you can do. If you use the Maffetone method, low heart rate training, set your target by the Maffetone rule, 180 minus your age, and use the common 5 to 10 beats cushion for adjustments like I talked about with sickness and medication if you're over fat. And look, don't treat the 10% as a heart rate rule. Treat it as a mileage guideline only. And you're going to have to expect cardiac drift on longer runs. If your heart rate slows by 5 to 10 beats, but you feel fine, look, that's normal. If heart rate jumps sharply or you feel worse, heavy legs, the unusual breathlessness type thing, higher RPE, look, you may want to back off. That could signal fatigue, dehydration, poor recovery, or illness. There's a couple of different tests you can do. One of them is a MAF test, or you can do a heart rate drift test, and that's going to be prescribed based on what coaches tell you. But look, you can track your MAF pace improvements across weeks, months, that's going to be more useful than trying to figure out this single percentage during one run. If you want to manage your weekly load more precisely, use training load metrics. Time times intensity, then a flat 10% mileage rule. Devices, Coros will show you, Whoop can tell you, Garmin can tell you about your load, and it can also help you quantify what's safe with progressions and whatnot. So look, here's the verdict. There is not one single universal 10% rule for low heart rate training. The confusion comes from mixing 10% mileage rule and the Maffetone 10 beat zone rule and adjustments and other ideas about heart rate changes. Use the MAF heart rate ranges, on long runs. Adjustments and informal ideas about heart rate changes. Use MAF beats per minute ranges and expect a 5 to 10 beats per minute cardiac drift on those longer runs. And manage your weekly mileage load with training load metrics, or be cautious progression rather than a single percentage hard cutoff. There are a lot of pain points when it comes to people who want to start running. And one of the biggest ones is it's the twos. Too much, too fast, too soon. Those are the twos. That's typically what gets most runners. The side that, I tend to struggle with is the daily grind, like the motivation of it, the mental side of it, the consistency of it. That's the part that gets me. Today's another daily grind. I'm just getting out, just trying to put in the reps, just warming up so I can get the body to get moving and get this running. Okay, let's go do this thing. Woo. Typically when it gets cold, just want to stay in bed. Well, that could have ended very badly if that fence wasn't there. Yikes. It's a very big dog. I think wanted to eat me this morning. I'm not looking back. I don't want to see what he looks like. Some big challenges that I have when it comes to running is when you're in this season of just maintenance, just kind of keep what you have and not lose anymore. That's always the hardest part. That is, unless you've signed up for a race and you have something to build towards, it's very hard to stay motivated unless you want to lose weight, right? Unless that's you. Wait, did they just pave the street? I don't remember them going to pave the street. Apparently they did. I was trying to get up for 5. Well, I did get up at 5, but I didn't get out for a couple hours after that. Just trying to work my way up to getting out the door to go for these early morning runs. I want to get 3 runs in a week to start off with and work my way to 4. But we got to start here. So this is the beginning of a new chapter. Beginning of me getting out of my head. Okay, seems like there's a little too many cars. Here comes the sun. Yeah, they're paving the road. I did not know this was happening today. The one nice thing about running when it gets cooler is my heart rate doesn't rise as fast as it usually does when I'm running in the heat. It's one of the benefits of this colder type of climate, because for 6 months, my heart rate's going to be in, pretty good shape. But for the other 6 months, it's kind of at the other side of the extreme. So I think once I'm in this now that I'm in this new stage of motivation about getting out there and doing the things I need to do, it's a matter of being able to tie it in day after day or every second day or whatever it is. Because ultimately, to be quite honest, I want to be running 5 days a week. Okay, I know right now I'm only at 2, but I would like to get to 3 and then slowly build to at least 5. That would be my ideal. Yeah, is it going to take time? Sure. But am I going to get there? That's all up to me. Strictly up to me. I know I can do it. But for a lot of runners, I know that finding the time, specifically when you're, working and you have family life commitments and things of that nature, it can be hard. It's not easy to be able to carve out that time for yourself, because it's not just you're going for a run. It's about, the 15 minutes about getting ready to go for a run, then kind of doing your warm up, then going for your run, then doing your cool down, then coming home, getting a shower, getting cleaned up, then getting dressed and doing the whole thing. I mean, honestly, this could be like 2 hours, maybe a little bit more. So if you got to wake up at 4 o'clock to be able to get to your job at 9, you kind of got to get to doing things pretty quick. And that is hard for some people. I'm there. I'm right there with you. Over the last couple of weeks, I have been running a lot more than I have over the last number of months. Look, I noticed that my aerobic base was starting to kind of disappear, and I found it was harder to get out for, the runs that I was getting out for, which kind of equated to like 1, sometimes none, sometimes 2. It was kind of hard. So I decided to make some changes, and I started to get into the gym. So I was going to the gym for a couple of days, and then I started to try to get these at least 2 runs in a week, and then slowly kind of work my way up through this process and be very laser focused on what I was trying to achieve, because I wanted to see my results again. I just didn't want to see my fitness just disappearing and everything else. Look, I have worked really hard at losing weight. I have worked really hard at trying to wrap my mind around how I was going to make a comeback. I was trying to reduce the amount of stress that I was under. I needed some time to process and to think. And going through all of this, along with diet changes and everything else, I've had to do a lot of soul searching. And over this period of time, I have to say, I am so happy that I've made the changes that I've made. From diet to sleep to stress reduction to getting back into the gym, running at least 2 times a week, if not maybe more. I've worked really hard at doing this and really laser focused in running slow. I have 3 runs, plus I did another one, and I want to share some results, because results-based videos I find, for me, motivating. I love to see this. So one of my last runs that I did, I have to say that this run was a breakthrough, and this was the one that really told me that my aerobic base is officially switching back on again. Look, this is no hype. The data is insanely good. And I want to break it down so you can understand where I am at with this. So my 3rd run that I've done, okay, this is what real aerobic engine looks like. For me, anyways, my heart rate barely moved for basically 75 minutes. I mean, honestly, we have to look at these numbers. 133, 136, 138, 145, 141, 140, 141. Look, that's ridiculous. And that's the heart rate profile of someone with, I think, in my opinion, strong fat burning, stable cardiac output. And it's very good for recovery and my aerobic mechanics. Look, my heart rate behaved, seriously, like a damn metronome. Like, seriously, it was so beautiful. And this, for me, feels like heart rate stability of someone rebuilding. I am going to be proud of this one. Hugely proud. Okay, the second thing is my heart rate drift is insanely low. So if I have to compare this, okay, my first run was 134 to 155. That's 21 heartbeat rise. Run 2 was a drift of 137 to 150. That's a 13 heart rate beat rise. Run 3, my drift was 138 to 145, and that's a 12 beat rise. But here's the difference. Run 3 locked at 140 to 141 the final 40 minutes. That means my aerobic engine stopped drifting mid-run. For me, that's a dream. Most runners drift more and more the longer they go. Me? I stabilized. I'll talk about why I think I stabilized a little later in this video. But my pace stabilized perfectly with my heart rate. So let's check this out. When my heart rate was 140 to 141, my pace was 712, 734, 720. I had an 828 with a hill in there, so I had to do this a little bit of walking. And then after the hill, 803. I had to slow down because, again, hills and stuff. Heart rate sets the limit, pace adjusts, my body gets more efficient. My true heart rate zone is now crystal clear. This run finally revealed it, and I'm so happy. My actual aerobic MAF heart rate is 135 to 145. Below 135, it's too easy. Base, but no stimulus. 145, my optimal fat burning, training, running zone. My pace in that zone, 7 to 720 kilometers on flat ground, with the ability to dip to 645 to 650 kilometers on good legs. This is my real aerobic pace, not the old 830 per kilometer. Look, I've already moved into the 6s and to the 7s consistently. So what this run tells me about my fitness trajectory, look, my fat oxidation is improving. Stabilized heart rate equals improved metabolic efficiency. My muscular endurance is rebuilding. My cadence was beautiful, 161 to 169 over an hour. My aerobic engine is literally turning on. And my heart rate behavior resembles someone with a 6 to 8 weeks of base training. But look, I'm doing it in just a few weeks. My recovery is strong, no heart rate spikes, no pace crashes, no cadence drop off, no blow up kilometers at the end. Look, this to me, I'm on the rise. I feel so epic right now that I'm going through this. And so my new performance baseline, MAF heart rate 135 to 145. We've nailed that. My MAF pace 645 to 720. My long run heart rate drift 0 to 2 beats. That is flipping incredible. My cadence 162 to 168. That's perfect for running easy, specifically if I got some hills, right? So I am trending upwards. 550 to 610 kilometer MAF pace. I think I can do that in 6 to 8 weeks. Now, if I stayed patient and I keep doing exactly this training that I'm doing, I think I can achieve some really awesome results. So the verdict is I'm back. And these 3 runs show a massive trend regarding heart rate drift is collapsing, pace stabilizing, cadence is locking in, aerobic zone is being clarified, my rhythm is returning, my long run efficiency is starting to, skyrocket. I don't know what other word I can use. I went from 830 per kilometer zone 2 to 650, 720 per kilometer in zone 2 in such a short few weeks. And look, that's not luck, that's fitness memory and doing things the right way. All right, here's the truth. This result lines up perfectly with my running history. My body is responding so fast because I've built this engine before. And when a runner with serious past aerobic depth restarts training properly, the comeback curve is absolutely steep. So let me break down exactly why I'm improving this quickly. And this is just my opinion. Number 1, I've built a massive aerobic base in the past. Look, I once ran over 4,000 kilometers in a year. I've run back-to-back seasons. I've done marathon cycles, ultra marathon training. I've done the Maffetone style long aerobic workouts. I've done all of those things. I've even done a 50 miler in a little over 11 hours. Okay, that is flipping amazing. All at a heart rate of 136. My capillaries, mitochondria, and fat burning pathways were once extremely developed. Even if I've lost fitness, the adaptations never fully disappear. They go offline. they're not erased. So when I return to this low heart rate, high cadence, steady, easy mileage, longer aerobic time in my MAF zone, my physiology wakes up, like seriously wakes up. It kind of says, yeah, we know this. Let's fire the engine right back up. This is why my heart rate drift stabilized so fast. My body remembers how to do these things. Look, experienced runners regain aerobic fitness much faster. And that's the thing with exercise science called, I forget how to pronounce this word, hysteria. But in simple terms, the body regains lost fitness way faster than they build new fitness. So instead of slow beginner style curve, I kind of start to see something like a rocket, right? So a beginner gets like 8 to 12 weeks to see the progress that I am seeing in like 3 weeks, okay? It's crazy. It's a shift that it's been a while since I've seen something like this. I'm not learning to be a runner, okay? I'm activating systems that already exist in my body. Look, I've also stopped doing what's been holding me back for a long time. Before this block of training, I had gained weight. I had dealt with injuries. I had poor recovery. My stress was through the roof. I was inconsistently running, high heart rates at slow paces, too much drift, too many spikes. But here's the thing, I'm running slower. I'm staying disciplined with heart rate. My strength training is happening. I have this mental maturity of a veteran runner. I think that is key. I respect zone 2. And I'm not chasing the ego paces. And I'm not running tired. I'm giving my body what it needs, the rest. I'm not overreaching. And the low stress training environment is a performance multiplier, I would say. My body isn't fighting me anymore. Low heart rate training works insanely fast. Years of going too fast on easy days, inconsistent training, weight fluctuations, life work stress, eating patterns, overreaching, all keep cholesterol high. When cholesterol drops, the body becomes a sponge for aerobic gains, okay? Honestly, my recent runs have shown that. It has shown that heart rate stability, low drift, high cadence, no blow-ups at the end, no heart rate spikes at the end, no bonking. This only happens when recovery hormones take over again. My system can finally calm enough to build fitness quickly. I'm no physiologist. I'm just giving you what's been going on. Strength training is improving my running economy, right? I'm lifting twice per week and it's all starting to show. And that does 3 massive things, okay? It stabilizes my cadence. It improves my stride consistency. It reduces fatigue in the final third of my run. It improves elasticity and efficiency. That's why my cadence has stayed over 162 to 168 for an hour. Like that's like textbook, okay? Look, there are few runners that do strength and MAF at the same time. I'm one of them. Maybe there's more, but I don't know very many people who do MAF to begin with. So my progress is literally doubled, right? I'm dropping weight and that does impact heart rate instantly. As long as you've been training. Even my recent 20-pound drop changes, cardiac load, oxygen cost, vertical oscillation, ground contact time, metabolic stress, even small losses dramatically lower heart rate at a given speed. My mindset is also different this time. And this part matters probably more than anything else. Look, before, I pushed. I wanted my pace to improve. I wanted results yesterday. I started to find myself getting antsy. My ego started to run the show. I got back into to my bad habits, right? Now I'm patient. I'm slowly becoming more consistent. I listened to what my body was telling me. Look, and I also respect recovery and days off are workouts. I'm smarter at this. I trust the process more. I'm older. I'm calmer. I'm changing my ways. And this changes everything with my running at low heart rate training. And it only works when someone is mentally disciplined and is disciplined to run slow for so long. And I'm finally doing it. I'm running like someone who knows who they are. Now look, this running comeback is not random. It's a third wave, maybe a fourth wave. My body is saying, look, if you give me consistency, I'll give you your speed back. It's here, but you got to work for it. And look, I've been through the injury, the burnout, the weight loss, the weight gain, losing motivation, losing identity. And now I'm rebuilding with the knowledge of somebody who's lived it, who's been there before. This is the type of runner that I am, and I improve fast when I'm in this mindset. Much faster than I would say probably I would be if I was a beginner. Much faster than stressed out runners. Much faster than I'll let the ego run through it type of runner. And now the real answer, my body is responding so quickly because I'm finally running the way my biology was always meant to train. I've spent years overriding my aerobic system. Now I'm unlocking it, and I'm not starting from zero. I'm tapping in to the engine that was once extremely powerful a number of years ago. And that engine, guys, she's waking up, and she's waking up fast. For the last little while, I've kind of been looking at what's been going on with my heart rate and where the drift is at and what's been going on. And I have to say, over these 3 runs that I've done, I'm very pleased to see my heart rate settle down. It's gotten to a place where I am extremely happy. And next week, I'm going to show you another video of another run that I did and the drop that continues to happen the more that I run. As long as I get rid of the stress, I can get back into running, I can start seeing the results that I know that I have in me. They're just sitting dormant right at the moment, but they will come, they will happen. Next week, I'm actually going to show you another run and what happened after when I looked at the numbers. Because honestly, I am so flippin' happy. I feel like I'm making progress in ways that it's been a long time since I've actually had this type of enthusiasm. I'm back, baby, I'm back. I feel it in my bones, I feel it in my head. It feels good to be back. So like I always say, get out and run. We'll see you on the next one.